All right, welcome to the Bob and Chris show. It's also known as Cyber Talk with Bob and Chris, but I just want to be a little different today. Today is a special one. Today is a very special one. Yesterday, the DOJ had a nice big press conference, and they announced that they had taken down the Hive ransomware infrastructure. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to give you a little insight on how Hive would gain access to their systems, but also what did the FBI do? Who did they work with a little bit and go from there?
Hey, Chris, let's back up. What's Hive? The bees?
I guess you can go that way. They do sting. Oh, that's funny. Hive Ransomware Group is a group that actually writes the ransomware and then they sell it as a service. And the easiest way to describe that is a person that buys the Hive ransomware was an affiliate. They would go out and they would execute the ransomware. They would gain access to companies, execute the ransomware. The developers, Hive, would get 20% of the proceeds, and the affiliates would get 80%.
Perfect.
Yeah. So on $1 million ransom, they'd get $800,000, and they'd have to give Hive 20%. So this kind of makes it easier for the ransomware people to basically the threat actors to write the ransomware, focus all their attention on that, and let third parties do the hacking for them and deploy it, and they get paid handsomely.
So the guys at Hive really just were just writing software. They weren't doing the actual hacking.
Right. Yeah, they were writing software and they were selling it.
Multiple layers.
Now they were, I believe they were running the dark websites though that were actually talking about the victims and things like that. Mm-hmm. So that gets a little bit more than that. But yeah.
Okay, so basically Hive is a company. In loose terms, was an organization that was providing ransomware as a service for other people to launch attacks.
Yeah.
Cool.
So let's get into, what'd you say?
So what happened with the FBI?
Oh man. Okay. So apparently the Tampa field office in July of last year, so 2022, they gained persistent access to Hive's infrastructure. And what does that mean? That means they could have been kicked out if they would have figured it out, but clearly Hive didn't figure out that they had persistent access. So even through reboots of servers or whatnot, the FBI would have kept access. They were able to sniff around their infrastructure, pretty much map out most of it. And this is still an ongoing investigation because this is the group. They took down the infrastructure of the group. They still are looking for people involved with this, like affiliates and things like that. So you're going to hear more about this in the coming weeks and months and things like that. But they were able to provide the decryption keys and help stop more than 300 active attacks worldwide, working with like Europol and like other countries trying to take this down. The thing is, they also seized 2 infrastructure servers, and guess where they were?
Where were they?
They were in Los Angeles. Good old United States, which is probably why they had jurisdiction to take them over. So I'm assuming that's where they gained persistence. Yeah. So their backend infrastructure was in the United States.
Reliable it sounds like internet and reliable power.
Yeah. And we have really crappy logging requirements, as in you don't have to log here. Which, they didn't say what provider where the servers were. They didn't say like if they'd taken over other people's servers. That they said that they were able to seize them in Los Angeles.
Did it say if they were physical or not?
They did not say that. Yeah, they haven't released all the details. I watched the video. I read the press release. So I obviously made some notes. The 300 victims that were actively under attack, they helped with decryption keys. They actually provided the decryption keys to more than 1,000 previous victims too. And to give you a total picture, since June of 2021, Hive had hit over 1,500 companies in 80 countries and had taken in more than $100 million in ransom payments. So by the time
is that their cut of it or the total? Do you know?
That was a total ransom. So I
okay, yeah, okay,
yeah. So in a year, so a little over a year from when the FBI got in, they had taken in about $100 million. Now, they didn't talk about if they've seized money out of this or anything like that. We're not entirely sure. But during this, they actually had a university, I believe that was in Texas, that was getting actively attacked by Hive, and the FBI was able to contact them and help them stop that attack. There was a Louisiana hospital that was hit. There was a
Wow.
foreign hospital that they helped stop the attack on and gave them the decryption keys. And actually, that was before they even like started talking to Hive about the ransom. So the key here is those specific entities contacted the FBI or contacted the local authorities first and got the help they need. Also, there was a specialty clinic in the United States. They didn't say where, but the FBI got involved with that, and a doctor was in charge of their cybersecurity, which we can talk about that and why that's not a good idea. But they helped that one. That specialty clinic stop the attack as well. But here's the rub. They found out that only 20% of victims actually reported that they were getting attacked by Hive to law enforcement.
Well, are these people that actually had gotten the ransomware notices at this point, or they just didn't know?
They knew, they just didn't report
Okay.
it. Yeah, so it goes back to like the whole mentality of like, I guess if I don't tell people that I was attacked, that nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
Yeah.
They're gonna know. Especially when the FBI gets access to the backend servers or some foreign agency gets back, they're gonna figure it out.
Or they just start showing up for sale. Their data starts showing up for sale on the dark web. It's
Yeah,
it's like
the accounting firm.
So here we are.
Yeah, or the accounting firm I posted where the ransom, it was a different ransomware game, but they took a copy of their website and then posted all the client information and rewrote all the headers and stuff on navigation bars to help them navigate the data, and they put that out there.
Jeez.
That was hyper aggressive though. That's
So
not
basically, the FBI hacked the hackers.
Yeah. They hacked the hackers. They hid for more than 6 months before they took the infrastructure down. Like I said, they helped more than 300 active victims, more than 1,000 previous victims. It all stemmed from the Tampa Bay field office. So, and let's see here. I think that's
And
it.
based
We
on
don't-
what you read, the FBI shut down the infrastructure. They didn't get discovered by the hackers.
Right. They shut it down and they seized their dark website. So their dark website actually has a nice little FBI, Europol, and a bunch of other different agencies that they worked with. This is like a big time collaboration with other agencies from other countries to help take all this down because
Yeah,
it wasn't all in LA.
And like I said, I'm looking at some of the notes here. It looks like you said 1,000 previous victims were able to be identified, and they were actually given keys to maybe get some of their old data back.
Yeah. They'd already paid, so out of that 1,500, 1,000 of them that they tried to help had already paid, but I don't, or maybe maybe some of them didn't pay. So, but they probably did. In case of decryption, they probably didn't pay. They were probably just trying to get their data back. Yeah, no, they were actively doing surveillance, figuring out who they were attacking, trying to help those people, like notifying other authorities. So and they somehow stayed hidden for 6 months doing this.
So, just to expand on this whole affiliate thing, what the affiliates were launching attacks through email, typically?
Well, their main attack was remote desktop and VPNs.
Okay.
So people who just open up remote desktop to the internet, or people who use VPNs and believe that VPNs are the end all be all to security. A lot of it was single factor, so they weren't doing multi-factor authentication. They just had a username and password, and they were doing brute force, or the passwords could have been reused, and they were figuring out how to do it. They also was exploiting a Fortinet vulnerability for some things that just allowed them to bypass it and get in. And then, phishing emails with malicious link attachments were the other entry point. So multiple tactics to get in.
That goes back to what Chris and I have been talking about for months now. It's been years since Microsoft recommended that that you not have remote access enabled and accessible from the internet directly. So if you have an icon on your desktop that's just getting you right into your computer, you might want to assess that risk to see exactly how that's working, because you could be vulnerable. Now I've run some tools locally in New Jersey, and I found hundreds of these sites sitting in a database.
Yeah.
And I've tried to reach out to some of these people, and they just don't care.
No, they don't care, and then some companies think, well, if I just change the port, it'll be obscure. No, that doesn't work. I don't know who taught people. I guess this is maybe like something from like 10, 15 years ago at this point. Like people believe that if I just change a port, nobody will find it.
Nobody will find
it. It's like putting your key to your house under a rock, under a fake rock out in your yard. eventually somebody's going to figure it out. Or if you put it under like a floor mat or something like that.
Under the mat.
Yeah, under the mat or on top of the sill or something like that. Like people will find it. Eventually somebody will find it. So yeah, this is big news.
And in this case, it wasn't even just remote desktop. It was even the VPN connect. The VPNs weren't set up properly, and people were getting into them with.
Or it was them exploiting a vulnerability that Fortinet had. But there's been, not to attack Fortinet, but like there's been a bunch of VPNs that have had vulnerabilities that you didn't need to have credentials. You could just bypass things. So,
Sure.
It goes back to patching as well. Like if you're not updating, performing updates when you need to, things like this can happen.
So the FBI came and actually helped a few people. Yeah. That's an anomaly. I don't expect them to keep doing that or showing up at the door before the crap happens. So people,
your strategy in your company probably shouldn't be let's just not do anything and rely on the FBI to help us out when we get in a pinch. That probably isn't the right strategy to do. Now, you should absolutely, if you're under attack, you should absolutely let local authorities know.
Absolutely.
I know in Michigan, the state police, they say contact them first because they will then get the FBI involved. I mean, for a ransomware case, you might as well just skip the state police and go straight to FBI, or in a lot of cases, just because the jurisdiction won't be state-based. There's not a really high probability that the attack is happening in the state that you're in, which means you're going to have to go to the FBI anyway.
Yep.
And then the FBI will get foreign agencies involved if they need to. But yeah, this is a really big thing. If you read the DOJ report on it, like just the number of foreign agencies that were involved. I mean, I'll pull it up real quick and we can just kind of glance through this. I mean, they worked with German authorities, the Netherlands, Europol, which is multiple countries, Canadians, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, French, Norwegian, Portuguese, Romania, Spain, Sweden, in the United Kingdom, and I'm probably missing something, but like just think about how much collaboration that takes.
And they didn't get caught.
They didn't get caught.
The FBI
yeah. So, this isn't. Now, what does this mean? Does it change the world? No, it doesn't change the world because there's still a ton of ransomware as a service operators out there. They're still doing the 80-20 split or something along those lines. There's still tons of affiliates who are willing to break the law because, quite frankly, the chances of them getting caught is probably pretty slim.
Sure.
But this is huge news from taking down probably one of the more aggressive ones. I think I saw that they actually committed like 15% of ransomware attacks. Hive did alone in 2022. Don't quote me on that, but that's something I read. So we'll see if that's actually accurate. I'm sure the FBI has pretty good numbers on that, considering that they had the last half of the year with being infiltrated in their network. Well, this is good news.
It's good news, and the fact that the FBI is being proactive and really digging in deep when they can. But it's just a small step, like you said. There's still hundreds, if not thousands, of active threats out there by people, and it goes back to the that blog post that I put up this week. You're not. Small businesses think they're too small, but they're not too small to be hacked. They're just too small to make the news.
I was thinking about something like that, like yesterday, or actually this morning too. You remember in 2008 when it was too big to fail? We talk about financial institutions and things like that. Like if they were to fail, they would cause financial chaos in the United States. The small business excuse or similarity to that is I'm too small to be attacked. And it's absolutely not true. Now, the too big to fail might actually be true, but that's a longer conversation about that. But it's just like the excuse is I'm too small to be attacked. But when they're attacked, if only 20% of them are actually reporting it, you're not helping anybody. You're actually making it worse for other people. So not to rail on it, but just in general, I think for you and I, especially, we're actually trying to help companies. I'll say this, probably try to get above the cybersecurity poverty line.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's something I've been thinking about is how do we get people above the cybersecurity poverty line? It's look, at some point you need to have a system in place. You need to have a plan in place in your business to at least maintain a certain level of cybersecurity, and it will make you infinitely more resistant to attacks versus somebody who isn't. And you see this right here, 20%, right?
Wow.
And then you have a doctor at a specialty clinic in charge of cybersecurity. That should never, first of all, that should never be the case. Like that's actually insane. But their specialty is being a doctor, not being a cybersecurity expert.
Yep.
Like, be the doctor, let somebody else handle the cybersecurity part. No, that's all I got. I mean, I think this is a really big story. I think we're going to be seeing this for months. There's going to be stuff coming out of this for months, especially if they start taking down affiliates.
Yeah, well, they probably have access to a whole lot of affiliate type data to try and track some of these people down because these affiliates needed to be paid.
And how many of these affiliates are working with other ransomware as a service operators?
Exactly.
Like, are they really just working with one, or do they have like 2 or 3 in the bag? And they're just like, you know what? We're just gonna try, like, we're gonna work with 3 of them. And we're just gonna deploy 3 different versions of ransomware and just manage it, because if one gets taken down, look, we have 2 more stacked up.
Yep.
So,
oh well, that's 16 minutes, and I got to get back to work.
Yeah, no, I mean, what do we got to do? Help protect companies? Is that what we got to do?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, let's get back to it. All right. All right.
Let the FBI do their hacking and have a good weekend.
Yeah, we don't hack. That's a little bit dangerous for us. So, all right.